So, 55% of top rankers out. Is that right? Let me check. Komusubi Asanoyama out from the start with a strained right knee MCL. The Yokozuna out from day 2 with rib and knee trouble. Ozeki Takakeisho out from day 2 with a cervical spine hernia. Ozeki Kirishima out from day 7 with a pinched nerve in the neck. And Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru out from day 7 with a strained ligament of the right big toe. Only he, of all the men above, will be coming back this time. Tomorrow, day 11 in fact. Added to that, of course, we had the defending champion out from the start with a bad lateral ankle sprain. Takayasu out for a week with his standard lumbago issue. And Mitake Umi pull up after defeating Shonan no Umi. He claims it's just a badly bruised leg and will stay in the meet for now. And we also had the startling coincidence of a man Sumo most wants to haze being the first to test positive for COVID since the fiasco of 22 months ago. That last case aside, why so many injuries is the question ripping through Sumo right now. Chairman Hagkaku, having already asked for forgiveness from fans for the spate of top-ranker defeats on day 1, had this to say to Nikkan Sports. I think it's just coincidence that several big names have been hit at once. When you put a human body through what a top wrestler does, injuries can and will happen. This situation could occur at any time. The issue has been around for decades. And it used to be dealt with by the protected ranking system for injuries sustained in the tournament ring. This chairman, though, like his predecessors, has closed his ears to the growing clamour for that system's return. However, coach Shibatayama, his one-time Yokozuna rival and currently with an axe to grind, has a vastly different view as relayed by Tokyo Sports. The way these big names have trained is the problem, Shibatayama asserts. I just don't understand how they can come into May having barely tussled with top rankers beforehand. It's outrageous that they've only prepared with lower division colleagues. How's that going to help them stop the onslaught of rising stars? And then they cause a yet bigger problem by absenting themselves from match days. Yokozuna and Ozeki can't be saying, "I'm hurting," or "I'm itching." It's unbefitting, and a slight on the customers who hand over their cash to support our sumo lives. Those views were echoed by Tadashi Imamura of Sankei Sports. In all my years of covering sumo, I'd never seen such a bad opening day, Imamura began. How different it is to the days of yore when the gap between Ozeki and those ranked below was about as clear as day. The top men mounted that dohyo with the pride of having pushed themselves to the max in practice, and lower rankers respected them for it. These days, a chronic lack of practice stands out, as does the narrowing gap between pro and amateur circles. Takeru Fuji's debut title in March, the first of its kind in 110 years, and just 2 after he left the amateur scene, makes a mockery of the rankings chart. Lots to chew over there, I know. So let's focus, if we may, on these repeated claims of insufficient practice as a possible cause of injury. Many of you have likely heard the old sumo adage that the more practice bouts you fight, the more natural your rhythm and movements become, and the less inclined your body is to adopt unnatural positions. Many a coach will bemoan the fact that men of theirs have been injured by trying in desperation a move they can't even pull off in practice. And we know older sumo heads have a tendency to beautify the Spartan regimes of their own careers, a la Takatoriki. Why does Oho brag about doing 30 bouts when I did double that every day? But I doubt even these older heads are demanding a complete rejection of all modern sports conditioning in favour of a return to the 80s. Even though I should add that Isekahama Stable's practice bout counts are still somewhere near that level. What these voices are rather lamenting is the lack of time spent by top-level men on sparring with each other. An argument they'd extend to Maegashira and Juryo wrestlers too. In which case, after covering some 31 tour events, I'd like to point this out to them. I don't think the tour helps. We all understand the commercial needs and duty of a national sport to showcase itself on a national scale, but on every one of those tour dates, 20 between the last tournament and this one alone, over 40 of Sumo's leading men have 100 minutes allotted for practice if they are lucky. And that's for bouts and charging. The latter activity eats up at least 10 of those minutes, perhaps 15 if someone has to be hazed. While the Ozeki and Yokozuna, if present, are given free rein for the last 20 minutes and allowed rest time between bouts. Yes, it is inevitable. Several salaried men get next to no dohyo time at all. And some of them barely want it. I can't recall the last time these ex-Ozeki stepped up for tour practice bouts. Let those who most want it do it, seems to be their motto. Bear in mind as well that all these men must travel by coach to the 20 locations. At least 2 hours every day, often considerably more. They'll be feeling tight before tour practice, much more so than they would in their own stables. And when they're suddenly ordered by tour supervisors to get on stage and go all out, have they even been properly warmed up? Ally that to the fact that most, if not all, big names clearly believe it's the sumo way to rush themselves back post-injury into practices best avoided, and you have the worst of all worlds. For the record though, here are the guys who are sparring the hardest on tour right now. Any complaints sumo chiefs may have are certainly not against them.